All the Qantas A380s are back in service now, and today I'm finally ticking it off my aviation bucket list. I'll be flying from Sydney to Singapore on Australia's flagship aircraft, but on a highly competitive route dominated by Singapore Airlines and other premium competitors. Can Qantas still hold its own? Join me on board for the full double-decker experience, including a sneaky look at first class and even the flight deck. And as always, stay tuned for an amenity kit giveaway. Today's journey begins at a rainy Sydney International Airport. I had flown up from Melbourne just to get on the A380. Yes, I know there are direct flights from Melbourne to Singapore, but sometimes aviation bucket lists do take priority. Thankfully, my bags were already checked through, so it was straight through immigration and security. Qantas operates up to 14 weekly flights from Sydney to Singapore. Today I'm on QF81, which has been operated by the A380 on a few rotations. And the good news is that this is set to become a regular 380 service later on this year. My upgraded ticket included access to the Qantas Business Lounge, which is unfortunately closed due to renovation with a temporary space elsewhere. With a very short transit here, I didn't have time to check out that space and instead headed towards the gate, catching a glimpse of today's A380 on the way. Gate 24 was under renovation and slightly chaotic as boarding began. Qantas has 10 A380s in its fleet, each capable of carrying up to a whopping 485 passengers across 4 cabins. First class and economy are on the lower deck, while business class and premium economy occupy the upper deck. And the business class cabin is absolutely huge, 70 seats arranged in a 1-2-1 layout, each with direct aisle access.
I think I came to the wrong deck, but is it okay if I just use the stairs?
Yes.
I accidentally boarded via the lower deck, which turned out to be a blessing in disguise because it meant I got to walk up the iconic A380 staircase. That also took me past seat 10E, the Qantas Onboard lounge, but more on that later. For now, it's time to settle into seat 15K, my home for the next 8 hours. On first impressions, the seat feels very familiar because it's essentially the same product found on other Qantas wide-body aircraft. Let's be honest, this isn't the latest door-equipped business class product. But what Qantas delivers here is a comfortable and well-designed lie-flat seat. The window seats alternate between being closer to the aisle and the window, and in this mini cabin at the front, the odd number seats are the more private ones. One underrated perk of the A380 upper deck is these side storage bins that run all the way across the fuselage, perfect for putting away all the amenities for now. This included the pillow, blanket, mattress topper, and of course the amenity kit. And this is actually the amenity kit from this very flight that I'm giving away. To enter the giveaway, tell me this: if you had the choice, would you take a direct flight or make an extra stop just to fly on the A380? I will pick a winner before the end of March. Pajamas were also provided along with a pre-departure drink, and before long it was time for pushback.
We're all set to go here, taking off towards the south. After takeoff, we're right here, turn to set course for Singapore. Flight takes us over Alice Spring and then leaving the Australian coast of Broome, through Indonesia, over Bali and Singapore. Flight time of 7 hours and 55 minutes. Hope you enjoy the flight with us. I'll give it back to you before our descent into Singapore. Thank you.
One of my favorite A380 features is the tail camera, which gives a unique perspective as we taxi to runway 16R. Strangely, out of all the A380s I've flown, Singapore Airlines seems to be the only one that doesn't offer onboard cameras. The A380 Takeoff is always something special. 4 engines powering you down the runway, yet the cabin feels incredibly smooth and stable. Today's flight time is just under 8 hours with 2 meal services planned. Before lunch, let's take a quick look at one of 3 business class lavatories. Unlike other A380 operators that go big with dramatic lavatory designs, Qantas keeps things rather simple here. It is compact, functional and does the job, but feels rather uninspired.
Margarita for you.
Back in my seat, the aperitivo had already been served, Tommy's margarita with some warm nuts. So let's check out the menu for today's flight. The first meal service is the more extensive of the two, featuring a starter, main and dessert. And at the back of the menu, there was a fairly extensive wing selection.
Hello. Would you like a couple of those?
Just one.
Just one, thank you. The entree's not too far away. Thank you.
For starters, there were 3 options. I chose the Lebanese chicken skewers, served on herb yogurt with pickled vegetables. Meal was plated beautifully, generously portioned and surprisingly delicious too. Honestly, a step above what I've come to expect from Qantas based on my recent flights. For the main, I went with the Humpty Doo barramundi, and this turned out to be a good choice too. The fish was cooked perfectly with a subtle, spicy kick provided by the sambal topping, served over steamed rice. Finally, for dessert, I went with the cruise recommendation, the 3-milk cake, with lemon curd, toasted meringue and freeze-dried raspberries. Another excellent dish that rounded out the best Qantas meal service I can remember. In case you're wondering why I'm praising the meal service this much, just check out my previous Qantas flight reviews. I have consistently found the Qantas catering across all cabins to be underwhelming, and I hope this is a sign of improvements to come. The service side was at its efficient best, with friendly faces throughout the flight. The lunch done and out of the way, it was time to explore the cabin. At the front of the upper deck is the Qantas Onboard lounge. This is the space that other A380 operators use for their fancy toilets or even showers. Qantas takes a more understated approach, a seating area with self-serve drinks and snacks. The seats even have seat belts and charging ports if you want to settle in during turbulence. The crew kindly took me on a tour to the back of the upper deck for a quick look at the premium economy cabin.
Oh wow, sorry.
This looked quite comfortable for a day flight, but it was fairly empty. That was followed by a trip down the curved staircase to the lower deck, where bulk of the passengers are seated.
I'll just come back up. Yep, then I'll stand here and jump down to your way. Oh, thank you.
As I made my way back to my seat, the cabin tour really reinforced just how big this aircraft is. It's almost like a city in itself. While I was out exploring, the crew had transformed my seat into a bed, complete with a mattress topper. Just like on the Qantas 787 and the A330, there is a slight forward slope to the bed, but it didn't stop me from getting a solid 4 hours of sleep. I woke up somewhere over Indonesia as the second meal service began. This was a lighter offering with just 2 options, and I chose the prawn dish. While it was definitely more on the snack side in terms of portions, it was another delicious offering and a lovely way to wrap up the dining experience. I didn't get much time to explore the in-flight entertainment system, but from what I saw, while this is not the latest technology, the touchscreen keeps up well, and Qantas has a solid content selection. One glaring omission though, there is still no Wi-Fi on the A380. What? In 2025, as a flagship aircraft serving a major business route, that feels increasingly outdated, although Qantas is reportedly looking at retrofitting connectivity in the future. Before long, we were descending into Singapore Changi Airport. To wrap up, Qantas Business Class doesn't try to be that flashy or ultra-modern product, and maybe that's the point. What it delivers is a reliable and comfortable premium experience. The seat is proven, the cabin works well, and on this flight the dining genuinely impressed me. If you're looking for that ultra-fancy, over-the-top A380 business class experience, this probably isn't it. Having said that, the magic of the A380 upper deck and the onboard service were enough to make the extra stop in Sydney absolutely worth it, at least this one time. I just wish that modern technology like Wi-Fi comes to this aircraft soon.
local time is 5 p.m. Please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the seatbelt sign is off. We will be using stairs. Oh, sorry, we won't be using stairs, so I'll skip that bit. My apologies. Now, on behalf of Qantas and One World, we do thank you for choosing to fly with us. If you are visiting Singapore, we hope you enjoy your stay. And of course, for those returning, a very warm welcome home. Thank you and good afternoon.
I'll get a photograph of you with our captain.
Hello there. How are you going?
Good, thank you.
My name.
Nice to meet you.
How you doing, mate?
Yeah. It's cool. So you have 3 pilots in this one. Wow. Okay. This is what I need to aim for next time, huh?